Man, this week I'm joined by Milad. Milad has just as far as like the transformation, as we get into his story, you're going to see the fact that he chose to do the internal work to bring about that change on the outside. You know, it's like you're at a crossroad, right? You're going through challenges. You can either continue to go through those challenges and get the same or similar results that you're getting and have been getting, or you can do like Milad did. And Milad ended up stopping, looking at where he was, doing that self-assessment, like being self-aware, and then making decisions based upon it. What did he want to change? How did he want to change? And then setting about to bring about that transformation. So we're going to jump into this. Super excited. Milad, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Doing fantastic. It's sunny out here. It's been cloudy in the last 4 days, so I'm happy the sun is out and I'm happy to talk to you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you joining me, my friend.
Cool.
Well, let's jump in. What does life look like today for you on the professional side of things?
On the professional side, it's going amazing. Like I've found my true purpose, and that true purpose is, becoming a coach for men. And, I'm currently right now working as a wealth advisor under a company. So I'm gradually trying to build this coaching business on the side, which came through all of my struggles. So, and that's where I am right now. It's like I have my professional business, but I'm also trying to transition through my coaching business right now.
Yeah, like you've got that passion and that purpose to help men, like like you and I both lacked in similar areas. It's to bring about that help, that guidance, right? So
absolutely. I mean, I feel that it's in us all, right? It's in us all. If we can heal our trauma or heal our pain, well, guess what? We can use that to help other men who've gone through the same struggle, right? And that could be your passion. And I find that's everyone's passion. It's like become your best self and then teach others how to do the same with how you cured your own struggle.
100%. What does it look like on the personal side of life right now for you?
Personal side is amazing. I can't complain. Honestly, my girlfriend's moved into the house last week. She gets along with the kids. My kids are doing well. I mean, everyone's healthy. That's the number one thing, right? Health is number one. Kids go to school here. My ex-wife lives 2 minutes away from me. So it's like we all get along, and everyone's growing. Everyone's growing on their faith side, mentally, physically, spiritually. So, things are headed in the right direction. So I'm really, really happy of where I am right now versus where I was 2 years ago.
So when you talk about where you were 2 years ago, take me back. What did it look like at that point? And did you see yourself being able to be in the place that you're at now?
Honestly, absolutely not. Like 2 years ago, like divorced, I was in the worst shape of my life, like the worst shape, like fighting depression. I had vices I was trying to deal with. I had anxiety attacks on a daily basis. I couldn't even get up for more than like 3 hours at a time without being exhausted. Financially, I was completely destroyed. I was at $150,000 in debt. Relationships, I had no relationships. Like friends were not calling me. People were not answering their phones. So, I was in a really bad position. And honestly, it was all due to all of my habits. It was all my fault. I put myself in that position. And I came to realize that, I had to be honest with myself of why did I do that? What was it that brought me to that stage and why did I have to change? And that was my kids, because at that moment I almost lost my kids. Like my ex-wife almost had 100% of custody. And that's what she was fighting. That's what she was fighting for. And I don't blame her because my actions were not aligned like a father was supposed to be, like a man taking care of his family, taking care of his kids. What I wanted and what my actions were completely disconnected. So my ex-wife had to serve me court papers in order for me to realize that, you know what, the only thing I have worth living for is my kids. And that's what made me just instantly say, I got to stop everything and start the work.
Yeah. Those wake up calls, man, you get a decision on what you're going to do going forward. Those are kind of pivotal points. When you look back, so at 2 years, this stuff happened. It's kind of that wake up call for you. When you look back, what do you see that kind of got you to that point? Because none of us wake up and go, hey, this is where I want to be in life, is subjected to my vices, $150,000 in debt, getting divorced. I mean, that's not like where when we begin the journey, we're going, this is my destination. I really want this. What do you see that was going on prior to that time that kind of got you to that point? Like the warning signs or the habits that you talked about?
That's a very good question, Mike. And, that's the thing. It's not like one big thing that happens, right? It's just like, it's the accumulation of these bad habits, of these vices that one day hit you in the face because you've accumulated all these bad habits and then they just blow up in your face. And one of them was vices. I was struggling with, alcohol, with certain addictions. And to me in my head, I thought it was normal, on weekends, we could go out, party, do this, do that. But those things take a toll on you mentally, take a toll on you physically. And we try to tend to brush it off because maybe we think everybody else is doing it. Our friends are doing it. There's nothing wrong with people that are doing it. But that's a really bad mentality because these things add up. So that was one reason. The other reason, I never took care of my health really, right? I thought I was healthy, right? But I wasn't, like smoking cigarettes, going to the gym once in a while, but eating complete junk food. Like I wasn't being healthy as I should be. And I strongly believe in that. Is like our health is number one, especially when we have all of these responsibilities of kids, of work, of wife, of friends, of family. Like we need to be our 100% at all times. So the health, the vices, and monetarily, like I was really careless about my money and how I was spending money and how I was not focusing on my credit and building credit. So all of those things, and also the relationship as well, right? Nurturing your relationship, growing up with emotional intelligence, that was lacking as well. So, when you lack all of these things, eventually something happened. And that moment I could never forget, it's just, I had a moment, I blew up, and it was just all of that resentment, I guess, the anger inside of me that one day I just lashed out and completely changed my life. I guess for the good, because I had to go through that in order to be where I am right now. Right.
Yeah. Sometimes that pain of experiences can put us to really appreciate where we get to and kind of the journey to getting to the destination we want to be in, or that person we want to be, the man we want to be. Right. When you were hit with that court order of, your ex-wife saying, hey, I'm done. How did you process it from there? Because you know, you can go the negative route, you can go the positive route. And where you're at now, you obviously took the positive route, but was it like a instantaneous thing of you just woke up one day? It's like, hey, I'm heading out, I'm doing my habits, I'm doing, you know, mindset, and you're physically active? Or was it like this kind of peeling layers back to kind of come to that realization and that decision to go that path? Or what did that look like?
That's a great question, Mike. So I got the court order. I looked at it and my heart dropped because, you know, my heart were with my kids. And when I read through the court order and, you know, she said I want full custody of the kids, then, you know, my heart dropped. I didn't want to overreact. I didn't want to act in anger. So I remember what I did is I booked a little weekend trip for myself. I went up in a chalet. I just needed peace. I needed peace. I needed tranquility. I needed to be with my thoughts without any distractions. So I went up on a chalet on the weekend, and, you know, I feel like when things are quiet on our mind, that's when you could hear your heart, right? It's like, what do I really want? Because I saw friends of mine going through the same path, getting divorced and then brushing it off like, okay, it's okay. You know what? You take the kids. I'll see the kids twice a week or this and that. It's better for me because I have less responsibility. I could focus on my business and this and that. So really selfish reason, right? So I had to really sit down with myself and listen to what my heart wanted. And my heart said, it's like, your long-term happiness is not going to be based on, you know, going out on the weekends, chasing women, being so-called free that a lot of men feel after a separation or divorce, which is the worst thing ever because it's not free, that it's really a prison when you're losing your kids. So that was like the wake-up call. Like something inside of me, God or my heart told me, listen, you got to fight for these kids. You got to fight for these kids. And Mike, honestly, I had a 1% chance to win, man. I had a 1% chance to win. And I kid you not. I kid you not. Like everything was stacked against all the cards, text messages, moving out completely far from my ex. Like I really made it so I can lose. Yeah. One day I woke up, then I went back home. I remember at the time I had a lawyer and she wasn't doing much. She looked at the case. She's like, Milad, you're done. You lost. Like, you can't fight this. She told me, she's like, literally, you can't fight this. I dropped her right away. I said, you know what? I got to find something else. And I had 7 days, Mike. I had 7 days to respond to that letter from another lawyer. I went on Google. I searched a lawyer. I remember like it was yesterday. It was a snowstorm. The lawyer's like, yeah, come to my office. It was a Sunday. I went to his office. He looked at my case and like, I'm going to fight this. Wow. Give me hope, right? He gave me hope, you know? So it was really that time. And this lawyer, I mean, God sent him, honestly, Mike. It was directly divine intervention. Like there was no way that this was luck. This was not luck. This was not, you know, this was straight from God himself brought me that lawyer. He's like, Milad, this is for you. This is my gift to you, you know? And I won the case and I got my kids back 50% of the time. Right.
Oh.
And then this is where like I started to change. I said, you know, God gave me this chance. He's like, Milad, you need to wake up. You need to wake up and stop with your old habits and let that person die. Right. So then it was going back to what you were saying, Mike. It wasn't overnight. Okay, let's go to the gym. Let's go train. Let's like eat healthy. It was a slow process. Right. So it was very difficult for me to go to the gym in the beginning because I was still fighting anxiety attacks. Right. And so just step by step, taking walks outside, reading pages of books, Stopping drinking, right? Drinking was a big thing. I had to completely stop. I had to completely stop cigarettes. I had to completely stop other addictions. So I completely stopped everything. And it was the best decision I made because I felt like gradually my health, my mind, my surroundings get better, right? I always say this, Mike. It's like life is a mirror. It's not a window. It's like however you feel inside, because that's the work you do on yourself, your outside will look the same way as your inside does. It's like it's a complete vibration, right? So work on yourself. Your outside will start to look better and better. I was living in a studio apartment with 2 kids, right? Horrible. Now I'm in a beautiful home with a pool next to the ex-wife. I was at her house the other day, just having dinner with the kids and her and my girlfriend. Like, wow. Like, but it wasn't overnight. It was work. It was work every day on myself, not on the external. It was me that needed to change before the outside needed to change. And I had to stop blaming her or him or this situation. No, I worked on myself and I start to see the outside change gradually.
You had talked about like the absence of relationships, right? Not having friends. And you're going through this without those relationships that would typically encourage us, hold us accountable, even walk through it with us. How were you, as you're making these changes, how are you finding the strength and the fortitude and the perseverance to continue, saying, that's the old way. I'm done. This is the new way. And I'm totally sold out and invested for that. How did you hold yourself to that new bar that, you had set for yourself?
It was my kids because I knew what I had to lose. And I knew if I went back to those vices, which brought me to that situation, I knew that would repeat itself later on in life. And I was convinced with 100% certainty. And to go back to what you're saying with the friends, I had no friends to mimic my relationship, what I wanted as a man, right? Because like I said, most of the men that were my friends were divorced, but were not seeing their kid, So why would I get advice from someone whose life I don't want to live? Right? And that's what I always say to men too. It's like, be careful who you get advice from. Look at their lives. And if that's what you really want to live, then take their advice. That's absolutely fine. Because a lot of people have a lot different opinions on different things. I take it on a surface. If somebody gives me an opinion, I look at their lives. Do I really want to follow their opinion and end up where they are? Maybe, or maybe not. So my mindset is very different. And the support, Mike, is so important when you're going through that. The support, you absolutely need support, but there's different type of support, not just anyone's support, right? It's like you really need to be around men that have gone through what you have gone through and came out of it in a very positive way. That's the support you need. It's either you hire a coach, you hire a therapist, you hire someone that has the results you're looking for, that went through the same challenges as you've gone through, versus just taking anyone's advice. Because I feel like a lot of people are doing that, just taking anyone's advice. And next thing you know, they're led in this horrible path that they should have never gone in the first place. So that would be my advice. The support is very important. And the self-care. Support and self-care are the two tools you need. Self-care is very clear. It's take care of yourself, man. It's like God gave you one body. It's like, that's your temple. Like, take care of it. It's a gift that you got. Everything starts within, with your body. However, you change your body, you change the way you feel, you change the way you think, then you change the way you act. Then your habits will come into place. It's all congruent. But
So when
but I felt like, I was taking one step forward and one step back. I thought I was healthy, take 2 steps back on the weekend. So you have to be all in with your self-care. I'm a strong believer in that. If you really want things to change in your life, you really have to change and not be like 80 or 90% of people out there.
when you started making the changes, were you like laser focused on one thing, or was it, hey, these are the multiple things I want to do, and what did you focus on first?
Absolutely. So there was different things I had to focus on, right? So there were so many problems, but the number one thing I had to focus on was getting my energy back. Because without my energy, I couldn't tackle all these different aspects of my life. So what does energy entail? Vitality. Vitality is through removing a lot of the garbage into my life, right? So the vices, the alcohol, getting rid of that. And then starting to work out, eat properly, eat healthy. Once I did that, my anxiety, my depression, bang, start to remove themselves without me going on medication. Because at a point, the doctors tried to prescribe me medication. I refused to take it at once. I don't think medication is a bad thing. I think it could help, but I wanted to try to do it on myself first and see if it could help. And it did. And it was honestly, mostly was the removal. It was a removal process versus adding different things on a horrible foundation.
So were you, as you talk about like removing, food and stuff like that, were you also having to remove relationships that kind of were around you as well, like that weren't healthy either in who they were or how they interacted with you?
Absolutely. So I had to get rid of a lot of people in my life, a lot of people in my circle that were not going into the direction that I was going to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because their lives were still my old life, and I have nothing against those people. It's they still choose to live that life. That's completely up to them. But I don't believe in that anymore because I know the consequences of that. And I know where that's going to go. And I don't want to be there anymore. So I'll stand right here. And if you guys want to come join this side where I don't drink, I don't smoke, you guys come over, we'll have some fun, but I'm not going where you guys want me to go. So I had to go against the crowd, right? A lot of hate, people messaging you, what's wrong with Milad? He's not himself anymore. He's not the same guy he used to be. He's not fun, right? They throw all these things at you. But the reality is that's the wrong path. This is the right one. I'll stay here. I'll be that leader, guys. You guys want to come, hop on board, but I know where that's going. I know where that's headed. And my eyes were open to all of that because I've did all the wrong things there. Literally.
I feel you, man.
I've been wrong.
Yeah, I feel you. I could write a book on that part and be like, this is the path not to go.
Exactly. It's what not to do, Mike, right? Like
exactly.
Kids ask me, they're like, Milad, because my son's kids, they see me, they're like, man, Milad, you look so jacked. Like, what do you? I was like, guys, it's not what I do, it's what I don't do. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Right? People are always trying to focus on what to do next. Just remove what you shouldn't be doing. Man, you'd be so far ahead in life. It's crazy.
Yeah, it kind of changes the road and opportunities that are before you when you go, this is off the table. It's a lot shorter list of what, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I am going to choose to do.
But off the table means you're going to get resistance from a lot of people around you. That's why people are scared to do it, because those are maybe the drinking, the social drinking. That's like, for me, it's off the table. Doesn't mean I can't go out and have fun, but there will be people that will feel threatened by it. You know,
Yeah.
that's just human nature, because you've changed. When you change, sometimes it brings out people's own insecurity inside, and they might project it on you. And that's how I can deal with it, because I know it's just their own insecurities. Whatever they say about me or talk about me, it's just they feel insecure about that person inside of them. So
As you were removing those relationships, how did you then pull in ones that were healthy and, kind of aligned with the path that you're like, this is where I'm wanting to go and I'm focused on? How did you, discern or decide, yeah, you're healthy, no, I'm getting rid of people like you already, that aren't supporting you. How did you pull those ones that were supportive?
So it's really through this community, Mike, like through the self-development community. You meet a lot of people like me and you today, right? You're on this path, right? A lot of people I've met through this coaching business. We became friends, right? I'm more friends with people on Instagram than actual friends, right? It's crazy sometimes, because they're on like that same path as you, right? So it's like I'm really find so many new friends, so many new relationships, people that want to be the best version of themselves in all aspects, right? In terms of faith, finance, fitness, relationships, like everything. We have to put it all together, and met some great people. And I started going to church as well. New friends arrived from there as well. So it's ever growing, because like I said, once you work on yourself, positive things start to happen. Positive people start to come into your life to help you with struggles that you're going. That's all God.
Yeah, it's almost like people identify themselves of which camp they're in. Yes, I'm supportive of who you are and where you're going, and those that are like, no, you don't fit with who you were, and they're almost intimidated, I would say, by the changes you're making, because then it's like that whole mirror of, am I going to make this change, or am I going to stick on the path that I'm on? And being content with the pain that I'm experiencing.
Exactly. It's a, like you said, it's a mirror.
Yeah. So as you were looking at like the $150,000 in debt, how did you begin to address that and, get that to go in a positive direction, from where you were?
So that was pen and paper, Mike. Pen and paper. Every problem, I emptied my mind. I said, I got to fix this, because I was struggling with finances in the past as well. I grew up in a house where my parents never taught me finance. Like, they were also struggling, right? So it's not an excuse, but it was something that I needed to dig deep and find the problem. And it all started again by hiring a coach, right? So I hired a coach and made me realize a few things. I've been I'm an investment advisor. I know wealth. I know investments, right? Spending and investing is very different, very different. So even people who have millions of dollars or make millions of dollars, spending is a big problem. So the problem comes to when you don't have a system to take your emotional spending into account. And that's what I address all the time is, right now, our society has us focused on budgeting and, oh, you should budget for this or budget for that. But budget doesn't solve the problem, because budget is basically based on an economic theory, Mike, that states that human beings make rational decisions about their money 100% of the time. And it's not the case. Right? Money is emotional. When I buy something or I feel like buying something, it's an emotional feeling. So you need to have a system that addresses that. And that's what my issue was. I realized when I did a transaction history of my accounts and I realized where the pitfalls were, it was because of all that emotional spending, right? I didn't have a system to track all of that into account. So, and that's where I see a lot of people making these mistakes. How come you don't have enough money saved for retirement? How come you're still in debt? Comes down to the same thing. It's not inflation. It's not taxes. It's not because you have kids. No, because you don't have a proper system that takes your emotional spending into account. And doesn't mean you have to stop living. And that's what a budget does. Like that scarcity mindset. Oh, I got to cut back on the stuff that I love. Like, who is going to follow a budget? If I tell you to cut back on the stuff, nobody will, right? So you got to address what you love first. And that's what I did. And that's what I teach other people to do when they get themselves into debt. It's like
So
you need a system that works for you, because your problem is you're spending on too much stuff on the stuff you love. I'm not saying don't spend it, but let's control it and let's have a system about it while we pay down those debt. Wow, a lot easier. I didn't tell them to stop living. I tell them to continue spending. If you love spending on iPhones, spend on iPhones, but we're going to control it. Electronics could be part of your emotional spending, but we'll control it. But we're going to tackle down your debts. We're going to fix your credit, right? That's a huge burden, right? The divorced men like myself, we face massive health problems and massive money problems. Like, it's complete destruction, right? I've been doing mortgages for the last 10 years, and every couple I've met that were going through a divorce, I saw their credit score, and 85% of them, horrible, because it's a strain. And you know what? The banks they understand it. The banks I'll tell the bank, hey, these couples went through a divorce. Okay, we understand why. They'll even give them a loan because they know that a divorce can cause some serious financial strains on a relationship. So imagine a man leaving, lost his kids, and that's credit done, like physically ruined, emotionally ruined, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's what I felt exactly. At the worst.
No, I know it, at one point, just like you talked about vices, I was medicating with spending on stuff, it's that emotional part that you've talked about. And, then the problem was that my wife, because she saw what I was doing, wanted to go out and spend to justify, what I was doing for herself. And dude, we started on just this crazy cycle. And it's, looking back at it, we can see, the illogical process that went into thinking of tit for tat. But like you're talking about the emotional side, man, when those emotions are running and they're raw, you're not really thinking logically. You're just, it can be from rage, it can be from frustration, whatever, but it's that emotional component that's like fueling those financial spends. And so, yeah, we were out of hand and definitely on the wrong path. So when you're coaching guys, through the whole financial aspect, how do you help them identify this is an emotional spend versus this is, something that's, normative, right? That's required. How do you help them to identify and really highlight those emotional expenditures?
So that's a good question. It's most of the emotional spending that we do are not regular expenses, right? It's not like your utility bills or your rents. It's those that money that just comes out of your bank account, right? So for everyone, it's different what your emotional spending is, right? Some people might be restaurants. Some people might be alcohol. Some people might be, like I said, electronics, activities, certain weekend getaways, right? So it depends who I'm speaking with and what they love to do and what they love to spend their money on, right? It's more what their want. That's what it is. That's where their emotional spending goes on. I can automatically tell by doing a transaction history what those items are, right? So then what I would do, I would categorize those items and say, hey, Mike, listen, this is your category of emotional spending. You'd be, yeah, man, that's it. I love, because there's a pattern, right? There's a pattern you can see. It's like some people, it's nice clothes. They love buying nice clothes. Guess what? Clothes is an emotional spending, right? Groceries are emotional spending. People don't buy it in emotions. People put that on like weekly spending. No, I'm sorry. You don't spend $200 a week on groceries. You don't know. You're probably spending more because it's an emotional buy. When you go out and you buy food, you're spending more than you think you are. Those days, maybe you're down or depressed. Maybe you're spending more on food. It's a reality. So I make people realize that is we need to address the emotional spending first. And we need to have a system in order to address it. Whether you're single, you're in a relationship, or you have a family. It depends, right? How we're going to address it. And everybody needs to be on the same page. Like me and my girlfriend, we're on the same page. She knows. I show her the system. I'm like, babe, listen, this is what our emotional spending is based on. And that might include date nights as well, right? So we're going to be more wise on our decisions on what we put there first, right? It's going to be, okay, maybe we'll spend on this first because we're going to look at our emotional spending. Where should we focus our energy on? And those things are healthy for us, right? So it gives you more control and less losing control because you saw a commercial or you're at Costco and you leave and you spend $700 and you're like, babe, what did I do? Like, you got caught.
So when you were going through this growth journey, like around the idea of money, you said you had a coach for that. And I'm assuming you had other coaches as well to like, help you grow in those areas. Within the money area, I know that my parents didn't teach me a lot of things like you had talked about as well, not coming from that background. Were there beliefs or foundational, just ideas around money that as you started delving into that with a coach that they kind of said, hey, this is not true. And then you discovered, those false beliefs that weren't serving you and kind of holding you captive to, having less money or, not feeling abundant, right? Like you have enough money and you can go and enjoy it. Did you find that there were beliefs that needed to be let go or changed?
Oh, absolutely. There were many beliefs. Number one is like my parents never taught me to say, they would say, Milad, save money, but they would do a completely opposite of what they were telling me. So it was like, and that's the other thing. It's like, when I tell people to do something, I do it myself. So when I share these systems, it's very important that I do it because I need to be congruent with my message. So beliefs. Oh yeah, beliefs, many beliefs. It's like using the credit card is one belief, right? Oh, gaining points on a credit card. It's great. Like, these aeroplanes, they add up and then we go on trips. But you know what? It's a trap from these credit card companies, right? We're never disciplined enough and they know we're not disciplined enough to pay our cards always on time. And what they'll do is they'll make you create a habit of using credit. So then you'll think credit is cash. So that habit is instilled in you. So regardless of credit card or not, later on, you'll just, oh, you want to buy a boat? Let's put it on credit. You want to buy a car? Let's put it on credit because you just had the habit of using credit. And that's the problem. Credit should never be used that way. It's so easily. And I see so many people doing it, and I did it for so long. And breaking that habit is a huge thing. You need to break that habit of not using your credit card because being debt to somebody is you're a slave to the lender. It's like even the Bible says it, right? You should not be a slave to your lender. I'm sorry, Mike, but if you have like, let's say 10 monthly payments on items you have to make and you have to go to your job and your boss gives you crap, you can't talk back to him maybe. because you have to make all those bill payments at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't say, you know what, I'll find another job. No, you're a slave to your employer. That's what that does. It doesn't give you that freedom, right? You need to have freedom. So that to me is a big no-no. It's like, we need to remove it. And then we need to start adding on different things. We need to start making sure you have a sinking fund. That's what creates that as well, right? We need to make sure you have 6 months of emergency money. Where are your savings going, right? Savings are important. What do you believe in? A lot of people don't invest in themselves, right? Investing in yourself and investing in a skill that makes you better, that makes you produce more money is one of the best investments. It's the most underutilized. But people spend more money on things that destroy them, like alcohol, cigarettes. But if you look at what they're buying to make them better, what they bought one book in the last year. Yeah. But it's true. It's true. It's like where we put our money is where our heart is. So we need to be conscious of that. And money is a form of energy.
When you look back over these last 2 years and you talk about investing in yourself, what are a couple of things that you've invested in that you see have been like the biggest, benefit or giving you the biggest dividend in your personal growth journey?
The biggest thing, Mike, honestly, was the fitness side. I invested in a fitness coach, right? I took $5,000 of my account. I said, here you go. Show me the shortcut, because I tried to do this all my life and I couldn't figure it out. But you seem like you have the results that I want, and your clients have the results, and you seem like a nice, honest guy. And I trust you, but man, is it a big investment, right? So I gave him the money, and then I implemented what he told me to implement. And then I saw my body transform like it's never transformed in my life. And then I said, wow, I got to teach others on how to do the same. That's how it started, right? My $5,000 were investment to myself, but it became like a purpose for me not to teach others on how to do the same, because I'm like, wow, we're all doing it completely wrong. All doing it wrong. I never knew at the age of 41, I would have a body that I have right now and feel the way I feel right now, just by making small tweaks and adjustments. Like I'm busy. I have kids. I have a business. I have a girlfriend. I have an ex-wife. I have family. To be in the best shape of my life, right? It's not an excuse. I have the time. Everyone has the time.
100%.
So fitness is a coach, and then the money coach is another. And now I'm investing a lot in marketing, artificial intelligence, right? I'm trying to teach myself on how to be more productive with AI tools on the marketing. So creating funnels, creating different type of marketing campaign. So I'm spending money on that so I can learn, because that will be the future, right? So it's in areas that I'm going to see growth, and I'm going to have that sense of freedom. That's what we want at the end, is freedom.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Milad, how can guys connect with you outside of the podcast?
Absolutely. So the main place you guys could connect with me is through Instagram. So my handle is alpha_fitness dad. Also, you could send me an email as well. If you guys don't have Instagram, it's mrahnama@hotmail.com, mrahnama@hotmail.com, MRAHNAMA@hotmail.com. You guys can send me any questions, reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat with anybody like I think I appreciate your time, Mike.
Hey, absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing about your journey, the transformation, and dude, just, that transfer of hope and belief, because it's like we all go through stuff. It doesn't mean that we're stuck there. And I appreciate you sharing your journey and the changes you made, and just, being aware that it's like there's emotional spending, that there's, all these things that hold us where we're at, that we're empowered to make the change, to make the shift. Like you talked about these tweaks that you made have just put you in a different place. And 2 years, I mean, in the relative scope of things, is not that long. It may seem like it in the day to day, but collectively, man, that's a drop in the bucket. So, Milad, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your time.